Have you ever found yourself asking, why me, when life throws something difficult your way? And even sometimes a series of difficult things your way. Have you ever done that? Ask yourself, why me? It has happened to me. It's a not judgment zone, so you can tell me anything. I'm telling you everything. So that happened to me. And I remember the very first time, it was after I got injured in a car accident over 20 years ago and got diagnosed with a herniated disc in my lower back. And it turned into a lifelong battle with chronic pain. At the time, I didn't know that, obviously. But this is what happened. And it was a difficult journey. And what really helped me over time was the shift that happened in the way I thought about things. The shift from why me to why not me. And the why me was a lot of negative thoughts and some self-pity, but a lot of dark thoughts and negative feelings about myself. The why not me was opportunities. What was that thing that happened to me there to teach me? And what could that mean for me, for my life, and maybe for others? And that was the biggest shift. So I thought I would make a video and talk about that particular shift from why me to why not me. I won't go into too much detail about the accident and its aftermath, because maybe I'll make another video about that. But for now, I'll just stick to that why me phase at the beginning. So after the car accident, I found myself sidelined for a month. And it was a crucial year for me in school because I was in college and I was supposed to graduate. But also I was playing basketball. The accident happened when I was on my way to a game, actually, with my team. I was busy with so many things in my life. I had a very active life at that time. I also have very poor self-esteem, but I didn't know that until I found myself stuck. Literally, because physically I was stuck in my bedroom for months, as I said, bedridden. I could barely sit. I could barely stand or walk for more than a couple of minutes at a time. And I couldn't sleep. I wasn't eating properly. I was eating just so that I could take the medication that were prescribed to me. The pain was just something that I'd never experienced before. That was the very first time that I found myself not doing anything. And I did not know how to process. It felt like punishment. And that's when the why me question started. What have I done to deserve that? And then I started actually making sense of why I would deserve that. I was a bad person. That's why nobody was coming to visit me. Even the people who were there, my family. My mom and my brother in the same home, they were there because they had to. We lived together, so they had to be there. They felt obligated to love me. And anything negative that you can think of when you think about someone that you don't like, that's what I was feeling about myself. All those things came to the surface, and I'd never known that before. But I explained all of it by saying that I was a bad person. I was ugly. I was undeserving of anything good. So yeah, of course that would happen to me. My life was over now. And that went on for months and months and months. And even when I I would say that my health got better because I was actually able to take my test, my final test, and then I graduated. But what I was feeling inside, that stew I had been swimming in, was getting deeper and muddier. So even as I got used to the pain and things, I think they improved. I don't know what's the between how much they improved and how much I learned to live with it. How you can differentiate between the two, but let's say they improved for sure. And I learned to live with it. I even moved to another city and started working, and I was living with family members, and I was back to life, but not the life that I had before. I wasn't the self that I used to be before the accident. I was not cheery. I was not positive. I didn't want to talk. I was pretending all the time. Even when I graduated and I got the results, I felt empty. Everybody was excited around me, and I felt empty. That wasn't the first time, but it was the first time that I came to the realization that this is what I was feeling, and it bothered me. But at the same time, I was just thinking, it's a phase. It will get better. I didn't know that I was sinking into a very deep depression. It never even crossed my mind. But when I was in that other city, and I was, not, even though I thought I was pretending well, they could see that I wasn't my usual self. And one of my cousins took me to her doctor, and he's the one who said the word depression for the first time, put me on medication, and it was horrible. The side effects were absolutely terrible, and he turned me into a zombie. I was just like making the same face no matter what I was feeling. And so what I was feeling inside was actually showing up on my face now. And then the turning point was a dinner with my dad, who after I didn't go into the meeting saying I'm going to tell my dad what was going on, right? But I ended up telling him. He knew something was wrong because he could tell that I wasn't my usual self. And after listening to me, he said that he was not going to pretend that he understood why I felt about myself the way I did, because it didn't make sense to him, but he understood that it was hurting me, and that was the last thing that he wanted. And as a dad, he wanted to fix it. And so he said, I know this is not something that we do in our culture, but that why don't you, I think you should go see a professional, as in a therapist. I was shocked because I did not expect my dad to say that, but this is what he said. What really struck me about what my dad said when he suggested that I go to therapy was that he said, even if you uncover things that uh, we as in your parents did or said that contributed to the way that you see yourself and that you think about yourself, and that you start resenting us or being upset with us or anything like that, it's okay. Because if that's the price that we have to pay for you to get better, we have to do that. And to this day, I don't even know how to qualify this type of gift that he gave me. So I ended up going to therapy, and that was the greatest things I've ever done for myself, thanks to my dad. And I'm not saying that it's for everyone. Talk therapy is not necessarily for everyone, but just the idea of being able to talk to someone that you don't know, somebody who doesn't know you, somebody who's not going to judge you, and you can tell them anything, was just what I needed. So I did. And I started just unpacking my entire life, and not just my life, my family's life, generations of things, and putting down baggage that oftentimes did not even belong to me. But the baggage that belonged to me, I had to own that, and I had to peel back the layers of all of that onion that you have to, you know, I never know how to make that analogy, but you know what I mean. So that was um, that was key, because it allowed me to actually get introduced to my true self, the one without the stories that I had started telling myself, the one with an objective look on things. And realizing that I've been holding on to a lot, that anger that I had that would manifest on the basketball court, as I told you, but also sometimes in fights, was what I was holding inside that I didn't want to just let out by screaming at everyone, just for the sake of it, because I was just angry and mad at the world. All that was able to come out. And what really turned things around for me, once I got that knowledge, once I realized who I really was underneath all those things that I was thinking about while I was chewing in that juice, was that there's a reason why I was here. That the people who loved me really loved me. They were not forced to. That I deserved good stuff. That I was good. That even if I wasn't good, I certainly wasn't that thing that I was describing at the very beginning. And all of a sudden, I realized that I was meant for more than I've ever allowed myself to feel before. Before going to therapy, I was all about everybody else. I was a lot of things to everyone else around me. I was dedicated to everyone around me, and I was doing nothing for myself. I was just following the plan. And it wasn't a bad thing, because that made me somebody who would work hard and who would be never satisfied with just doing things. I had to do them well. It was a bad thing in a way, because when you're never satisfied, you're just seeking perfection that doesn't exist, and you don't appreciate the things that you do, which is why I was feeling so empty whenever I accomplished something. But by realizing that I was not that person that I thought I was before, and that I deserved to have dreams, to let those dreams be, and to go after them, also I started asking myself, why not me? Yes, I'm special because I'm an individual, like we all are. You're born as an individual, you're special in that sense, but you're not special because there's nothing about you that makes you better than anybody else. You're not worse or better than anybody else. So anything that can happen to anybody else can happen to you too. But also beyond that, it was, what if there was a reason why those things were happening to me? Maybe they were not happening to me, they were happening for me. And what if, because those things were happening for me, there was something I could do with those things? And that set me on a whole different type of journey, which I'm on right now. So then fast forward 10 years after the car accident, I have surgery for something unrelated, endometriosis, if you want to know. That was my second one. And so I have surgery for that, and then the recovery for the surgery goes well, but it actually made my back pain way worse for some reason. And then within a few months, I get diagnosed with fibromyalgia and sarcoidosis. I'll make videos about the whole thing if you want any more details, but for now, let's just stick with the basics. So I found myself sidelined again. At that point, I'm in Canada, I have a great life, I have a career. I started making the dreams that I had in mind come true. I'm loving every second of that life, because this is the life that I have designed for myself. For once, this is the one that I've designed, not the one that people had in mind for me. This is the one that I wanted, and that's the one that I'm making happen. And it's amazing. And then I found myself sidelined again with no end in sight. I have no idea what's going on. I don't know if I'm ever going to get better. In fact, in the beginning, things just kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And this time, I'm not even at home surrounded by family members. I'm on my own in my apartment here. I barely know anybody in my building except for one of the concierges who was like a father figure for me. He still is. And a couple of neighbors that I knew who were offering help and things like that. I was very bad at asking for help, and accepting help, but I'd already done the work. And at that point, I had such a much better experience than the first time because I went through the first one. Being sidelined the second time was completely different because there was no why me, why not me, actually, because I know that I have a purpose on this earth. And when I say purpose, I'm not trying to tell you that all of us have this big mission on earth that we're here to change everything. Maybe some of us do. Some of us do actually, but not all of us. And that's okay. When I'm saying purpose, it's just the reason why you're here. And so that's what I focused on. And I was like, just take it one day at a time, 1 minute at a time. Continue to be grateful for the fact that you're still here. As long as you're here, there's hope that things are going to get better. And I celebrated every single progress. Every win was a big one for me. And the fact that I was in that why not me frame of mind made the process so much better and so much, I wouldn't say easier, because it wasn't easy. But actually, yes, I'm going to say easier because it was easier than the first time, mind you, even though it was much longer. This one's lasted years compared to the first one. And as I told you, I didn't have the same immediate type of support that I had the very first time. But I was a different person. I was a different version of myself. I was a version of myself who had understood who she was. And I had to continue to rediscover who I was, but I had a much better foundation of who that person was. And I embraced that. So I kept going every single day. I didn't feel like my life had stopped at all, even though I was sidelined. I could barely go anywhere. I was struggling to breathe, struggling to speak for a long time, but I didn't feel like my life had stopped. And I felt that I would figure out ultimately why I was going through all those things. While it was going on, and it's still kind of going on now, but I'm talking about this period of time of 3.5 years where it was really intense. I was taking a lot of medication and I could barely do anything. I was just thinking, just keep going, because you're here and there's a reason why you're here. And I cannot tell you how much of a difference it makes, even without knowing what the greater purpose was, what the greater reason was, because it was like how nobody should be in pain. So it's not about saying it's okay to be in pain because there's a bigger reason. No, if you're in pain, the fact that you can look at it not as a punishment, but as something that's happening that you have to live with, that you can keep going so that there's still hope that things can get better, but also your journey is not over because you're in pain. It really isn't. Besides the health issues, you also know what else is happening to me. I mean, the financial difficulties that I'm going through, which is not pleasant. I already told you, it's hard as, you know what? I would not wish it on my worst enemy. I wouldn't wish anything on my worst enemy, by the way. And I'm not happy that it's happening, obviously. But now that it's happening, I cannot be just stewing in the why me. And I think I mentioned it in the last video, I think the very last one. I think that one of the main lessons that I had to learn, that I was having real difficulties learning, was being even more open than I thought I was, asking for help, accepting help and receiving it. Not with the type of resistance that I used to have, but really being there I am and I need help, and thank you for your help in that way. If this is the only reason why I'm going through it, I'll accept that and I'll be grateful for that. And I already am, I told you. And I feel that this is what allows me to keep going. And objectively, I've been through so much and I'm still here. So I know I can survive this one too. Thinking otherwise doesn't make you weak, by the way. Even if you think that you cannot survive something that you're going through, that doesn't make you weak or lesser than somebody who thinks differently. I had to learn to be and to think the way I do right now. I didn't start off that way. I think I was optimistic. I've seen resilience in my family. I've seen all those things. So part of me was wired that way. And I think I came through with my own resilience even before my parents instilled theirs onto me. I don't know that for sure, but I think so. I want to think so. But I also had to learn through my own life experiences. And if not for that very first time, after the car accident, those months of stewing in the negative thoughts that I had, going through depression, and then this, crucial conversation with my dad, going to therapy, discovering who I really was, being introduced to the real me, and then using the tools that I was given, practicing always, like constantly practicing, getting to the point where when it happens again, you remember how you got out of it the first time. And you're like, okay, let's do it again. It's not exactly the same situation, but what can I apply this time from the first experience, right? But if you don't have the tools, if you don't have the mindset, it's very difficult. And I don't judge anybody who is still in that place of why me, because this is where it starts. For all of us, this is human nature. So I'm here to tell you, you can get to the other side, to the why not me, by talking to people. If you're watching this and maybe just me telling you how I got through it helps you, that's it. That's all I need. Because this is really one of the main reasons I created this channel. It was because I wanted to share my experience with people. And I wanted to see others stay hopeful, because it's very difficult to stay hopeful. If you feel lonely, if you feel like nobody understands you, that you feel like your symptoms are in your head, that you're being told that they're in your head, or that there's nothing you're given or you're doing is making things better for you, for your health, or for anything that you're going through. Maybe hearing somebody else tell you how they came through, even though it's still hard, maybe that alone can make a difference in your life. So that's really why I wanted to start this channel, why I wanted to make this video. Also, because that switch from why me to why not me was really crucial in my journey. And I think it's going to continue to be, because every single day I'm reminded of why I'm here on this planet. And it feels good. Even in the midst of one of the biggest struggles of my life, I'm reminded of that. And I want you to remind you also that you belong, that you're here for a reason. And every single day you get another opportunity to find out what that reason is. As long as you're breathing, as long as you're here, there's a reason and there's hope. Remember that. As always, I thank you for watching this video. I thank you for supporting this channel, for being there for me in every way that you are. I encourage you to like, subscribe, comment. I would really love to hear about your stories of why me, why not me. What do you think about these concepts, these two concepts, your experiences, anything. And also, I encourage you to share it. If you know anyone who could benefit from this message, please share it with them. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.